The first time Marcus Chen saw the creature, he thought his helmet's oxygen mix had gone wrong. The thing was no bigger than a house cat, with scales that shimmered between copper and gold in Kepler 442b's twin suns. It had wings, delicate membranous things that seemed too fragile for the harsh winds of the colony world. Its eyes, though, were what stopped Marcus mid-step. They held an intelligence that made his anthropologist's heart skip. The Dragonling, for that was what the colonists had started calling the indigenous species, tilted its head and chirped. Then it darted away into the crystalline forest. Marcus stood at the edge of the agricultural dome, datapad forgotten in his hands. In 3 years on Kepler 442b, no one had gotten within 50 meters of the Dragonlings. They were phantoms, glimpsed at dawn and dusk, always at a distance. The xenobiology team had written them off as non-intelligent fauna, skittish and primitive. But those eyes had told a different story. The Dragonling returned the next day. Marcus was inspecting the perimeter sensors when he heard the sound, a melodic trill that raised goosebumps on his arms. The creature perched on a boulder, watching him with those impossibly aware eyes. When Marcus didn't move, it hopped closer. Then closer still. "Hey there," Marcus said softly, kneeling. "You're a curious one, aren't you?" The Dragonling's head crest flared, cycling through colors, blue, violet, green. Communication, Marcus realized with growing excitement. Visual language. He spent an hour there, slowly eating his lunch while the creature watched. When he offered a piece of synthetic protein bar, the Dragonling sniffed it and recoiled. Wrong biology, Marcus noted mentally, but it stayed anyway, seemingly content with just his presence. When Marcus finally headed back to the dome, the Dragonling followed him halfway before veering off into the forest with one last, lingering look. Days became weeks. The Dragonling, Marcus started calling him Brass for his coloring, visited like clockwork. Always at midday, always at the same spot. Marcus brought things. A mirror, which fascinated Brass. A portable speaker playing Bach, which made his crest flash wildly. A holographic projector showing earth animals, which Brass studied with intense focus. "You're learning, aren't you?" Marcus murmured one day, as Brass tilted his head at an image of a horse. "Trying to understand us." Dr. Sarah Okonkwo, the colony's chief xenobiologist, warned him to keep his distance. "We don't know if they carry pathogens. We don't know their social structure. You're violating about 15 protocols." But Marcus couldn't stop. There was something profound happening, a bridge forming across the vast gulf between two intelligent species. Brass was teaching himself human concepts through sheer observation and persistence, and perhaps, Marcus thought, teaching Marcus something in return about patience, about trust earned slowly. Then one day Brass didn't come alone. Marcus was setting up his usual spot when he heard it. Not one trill, but dozens. His head snapped up, heart suddenly pounding. They emerged from the crystalline forest like a living constellation. Dragonlings of every color, emerald, ruby, sapphire, obsidian, pearl. Young ones with barely formed wings huddled close to larger, more scarred adults. There had to be 40 or 50 of them, moving as one coordinated group. And at their head, Brass. The little Dragonling walked forward until he stood between Marcus and the herd. His crest flared in a pattern Marcus had never seen, complex, layered, urgent. Then Brass did something extraordinary. He turned back to his people and repeated the pattern. Then he looked at Marcus again, one clawed foot scratching at the ground. "You're asking for something," Marcus breathed. "You're asking for help?" As if in answer, an older Dragonling limped forward. Its left wing was mangled, healing badly. Another followed, ribs visible through dull scales, starving. A juvenile with clouded eyes. Sick, injured, desperate. The pieces clicked together in Marcus's mind. The xenobiology reports had documented declining Dragonling populations. Climate shifts. Habitat loss from the expanding fungal blooms in the southern continent. The colony had been so focused on its own survival, it hadn't noticed the natives dying, but Brass had noticed the humans. Brass had watched them solve problems, heal injuries, manipulate their environment, and in that small, desperate gamble of first contact, he had decided humans might be different from the indifferent universe. He had decided humans might care. Marcus tapped his comm. "Chenda Colony Command. You need to get out here. All of you. Now." Within minutes, personnel poured from the dome. Dr. Okonkwo stumbled to a halt, her face slackening in awe. Governor Mwangi stood speechless. The entire colony watched as the Dragonlings waited with an almost unbearable patience. "They're refugees," Marcus said quietly. They're asking for asylum. Dr. Okonkwo moved forward slowly, scanning equipment already in hand. The wing damage is from malnutrition. The fungal bloom is destroying their food chain. She looked up, eyes bright with tears. They're starving. And they came to us. What followed was barely organized chaos. The medical team set up triage. The engineers began designing shelter modifications. The agriculturalists synthesized compatible nutrition. Someone contacted Earth, sending the first official documentation of intelligent alien life-seeking human aid. Through it all, Brass stayed by Marcus's side, his crest glowing a steady, trusting gold. "You took a hell of a risk," Marcus told him, gently stroking the scales on his head. Brass leaned into the touch, eyes half closing. "You had no guarantee we'd help. We could have been predators. We could have been worse." But Brass had seen something in those weeks of patient visits. He had seen a human who sat still and offered companionship, who brought gifts of curiosity, not conquest, who learned instead of dominated. He had seen humanity at its best, and he had gambled everything on that small, precious hope. As the twin suns set on Kepler 442b, casting copper light over a colony now shared by two species, Marcus understood the profound weight of that trust. The galaxy was vast and cold and often cruel, but here on this distant world, one small creature had decided humans might be different, and because he had, they would be. That was the real power of humanity, Marcus thought as Brass chirped contentedly beside him. Not their technology or their strength, but their capacity to be worthy of trust placed in them by those who had no reason to trust at all. To be the species that, when offered a fragile hope, chose to honor it.